It's in like a really not shocking development. I don't know how it took this long, though. I've realized that Jess and I are basically the same football watching Notre Dame fan, and so she's become an outlet for all of my worst thoughts during every Notre Dame game. Our text stream is a nightmare.
So unhinged.
It's honestly, it's so necessary because it keeps me from tweeting any of these things. I wouldn't be able to show my face around the university anymore.
Oh, dude, I've fired the coaching staff like 4 times this season over text, and then the next day, like, rewatch the highlights and be like, all right, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no, it was actually pretty good today. Feeling good about this.
We should get third down, but otherwise, like, we're not that bad.
You have fired Marcus Freeman 4 times this year?
Not Mark. I am wearing my
via text.
I'm wearing my Hi Marcus Barbie sweater today. Right. I am fully on board the Marcus Freeman bandwagon. Always have been, always will be. I have not fired him a single time over text.
Right.
Let the record show.
Had they lost to USC, would you be wearing that sweatshirt today?
Of course not. This is a We Just Won sweatshirt, Stugotz. This isn't a tail tucked between my legs.
Do you have that in your closet, like sectioned off? We just lost. We just won.
I have all my Notre Dame stuff in the We Just Won, or like there's a huge women's basketball game tonight section, and that's the only time I wear that.
Wait, time out. Gojo. Slow down. Gojo. It was weird.
Wow.
Because I was trying to say Chris. Chris was asking that of Jess, and you said yes. You actually have that in your closet?
I'm sure I'm just like Jess. I have my sectioned off. Here's my pile of Notre Dame stuff that obviously I'm only going to wear out in public if we're winning and good. Yeah. Doesn't everyone?
No.
You should. I don't want to get made fun of on this show for wearing my Marcus Freeman shirt after we lost with 10 men on the field against Ohio State.
Right.
I'm saving this for when we beat USC, the number 1 offense in the country at home, by a crap ton of points, Stugotz. That's what this sweatshirt's for.
I don't have a Jets win side of my closet. It doesn't exist.
Well, that's
right.
That sounds like a you guys problem.
It is, Gojo. Gojo, I want you to hear Chris's take on the Kelceys because he is tired of all things Kelsey. And then I want to get your thoughts on this. He's tired of the kids. I mean, he's tired of everyone.
See, you're painting this too broad. I'm not saying everyone is kind of tired of Travis Kelce right now. Right. I feel like Jason Kelce is getting this condescending take from all these people of he's the one I like. I don't like Travis. I'm going to be the trendy one and like Jason. And I like Jason too. This is not a knock on Jason. This is a knock on just society wanting to condescend towards. Don't condescend Jason Kelce. I don't believe all of you people.
Well, people have fallen in love with Jason Kelce.
I just feel like people are going too far with that, and it's becoming condescending.
This is the most deeply online approach to this situation because Chris is responding to the people on the internet that he believes are disingenuous Jason Kelce fans. Do I have that right? You believe
that's right.
It's like The Bachelor. They're here for the wrong reasons with Jason.
Yes, exactly. It's just like I don't know what's going on with Taylor and Travis, so I can't like that. What can I do? His brother, he's got a beard. I like him. He's the one I like. It's just and then the kids.
He is husky and trustworthy. I mean, he does have that going.
And they play this note on their podcast of him bringing his kids over and Uncle Travie. And it is just so gosh darn endearing, and I love them. But it's like they're tricking me. It's like this is my move. I do this on the Greg Cote show. I bring my kid over and she talks to the grandpa. It's like you're stealing my move. Check out the Greg Cote show.
That's what you're jealous of bid infringement here. It's not anything to do with that. You just believe they're stealing material from you guys. I pander, and I'm sick of Donna. Wow. I was getting ready. I thought the buildup was you were about to take a flamethrower to the kids.
No, Gojo.
Oh, well, I can see A.J. Brown's pink shoes from here. I don't need a kid to tell me that. But no, the real enemy for you is Donna. Okay, interesting.
Gojo, if we just laid out and let him keep going, he would have taken out the kids. I mean, he was going there. That's where he was. Chris, you were going to take out the kids.
It's really the people. It's the condescending. I feel like they're lying. I don't feel like you like Jason Kelce as much as you say.
He has very welcoming eyebrows.
He does. He's relatable.
You want to do like a you like Jason Kelce, name 5 of his albums thing.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, Jason Kelce hipster. I like this as a character for you, Chris.
It's like a contrarian take for fans that want to be part of the Kelce magic, but they feel like being on the Travis bandwagon's like too popular.
I got it. If you want to be on the Jason Kelce bandwagon, you need to know how he dressed for his Super Bowl celebration. You need to tell me what color his outfit was. If you don't know, know it, Tony, because you're a diehard and you've been in this game. I'm talking to the people. I'm talking about the people.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking about the
Chris,
Stevie come latelys.
Right.
I would say, though, that was in the Kelsey documentary, so you're going to have to find a different point there because they went back to the Mummers outfit in that documentary, they showed the speech. So I do feel like a lot of the new fans, and listen, there's also going to be like a lot of the crossover. I know you're out in the Travis and Taylor conversation, everything that's become, but the Swifties have been consuming this content at an alarming rate right now. They're trying to find any Travis stuff they can get. So there's a whole new army of people that are new Jason Kelsey fans who are going to know that speech from the Super Bowl by heart now and probably have, I guarantee there's going to be at least, when the European leg of Taylor Swift's tour starts, there's going to be at least in any given crowd 5 people dressed as Jason Kelsey, not even Travis Kelsey. There's going to be people dressed as Jason Kelsey at the Eagles Super Bowl parade, at a Taylor Swift concert in like Munich, Germany.
Bunch of Jason come latelys.
Why are you so unhinged today, man?
I don't know. It's like I said, you keep trying to put
Lazy
this,
River, you're right. I'm sorry,
You keep
Jess.
trying to position this like this is me going at the Kelseys. This is not. This is me going at the people.
Right.
I'm trying to protect. I'm protecting Jason.
You're doing good by Jason.
I really do feel like I am.
Right. Okay. Because who you're yelling at is my wife. I mean, my wife is that person.
Exactly. She
loves
call her
Jason
right now.
Kelsey.
She has no clue what he dressed up as for that Super Bowl celebration.
You want to call her?
People have been doing this in fandom forever, though, right? Like, these are the people who are like, oh, Ringo was my favorite Beatle. Like, come on. What are we doing?
Right. You're lying.
Yeah,
right.
like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
you're so trendy. You're so,
no one thinks Ringo is their favorite Beatle. Nobody.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's Lennon or McCartney, and that's it. Right?
There's some George Harrison people.
No, there's not. No one likes George Harrison. I don't even know who he is.
All right. Well,
my sweet Lord.
Wow.
Gojo, follow me down this path on college football. You and I have discussed this before, okay? The regular season, like college football has it down perfectly, where the regular season feels like a playoff, right? And 4 teams make it to the postseason. So you have a game this weekend like Oregon and Washington. You have a game coming up this weekend, Penn State and Ohio State. Those are de facto playoff games, okay? And you lose the juice when it becomes a 12-team playoff. Right now it's 4. Next year it goes to 12. Because that Washington-Oregon game, as exciting as it was, Gojo, it wouldn't matter as much because both teams are going to get in next year. And so you lose some of the juice with some of these great regular season games, Ohio State, Michigan. That game's going to lose some juice once you get to a 12-game playoff because they're both going to get in, regardless of who wins the game, loses the game. And so I kind of don't like where college football is headed, and where we're headed is to a 12-team playoff because I think they have the regular season down perfectly.
Honestly, I think we overblow all this stuff in the packaging of the sport with the playoff teams. Like, you look at this weekend, Stugotz, the biggest difference would have been, and look, I'm not going to just use this selfishly to continue to spread Notre Dame propaganda for me and Jess, but that game in South Bend mattered a lot this weekend. Had no playoff implications for Notre Dame fans because they were already out of it.
Right.
That mattered a lot. You crash landed into that game and there are fireworks going off after, everybody celebrating like rock stars because that game still mattered and because it was a quality performance by their team. Yeah, it knocked USC potentially out of playoff contention, but even them with 1 loss, they're still technically in it right now. But that didn't matter. The Washington-Oregon game, I was on the call for that game on radio, and I promise none of the reason anybody had a good time in that stadium or watching was because of the playoff. It's because you knew you had 2 quality teams who went out there and lived up to the billing. So,
Mike, my question about the Washington-Oregon game is, I mean, the question that I think a lot of Oregon fans are probably asking this morning, which is Dan Lanning too aggressive on 4th down? Like, it cost them last year. It maybe cost them this game. He said after the game he kind of regretted not kicking a field goal before halftime, and that was like the one that he kind of wished he had back. But where do you stand on all of this? And is this just basically following in the footsteps of the existential crisis happening in the NFL with analytics right now too?
Yeah, it's the perfect opportunity, I think, to shift the conversation around that. We spend way too much time focusing on should we go for it or not, and not like, let's talk about the play calls in those spots. Designed obvious rollouts that Washington was clearly ready for both times. I have no problem with a coach being hyper aggressive. I appreciate Dan being willing to criticize himself, but I had a lot less issue with him being aggressive in those spots because he's consistent with it versus what they actually decided to do with the resources they had in those spots, trying to have something better drawn up for that moment. Because if you know you're going to push the bounds, especially once you go for it at the end of the first half like that, you know you're in that mode. The team, all I care about as a player is knowing, all right, I know what to expect from my coach here. I know what we're going to do when we get into these situations, so I'm not surprised by it. And as long as everybody's on the same page like that, the go decision to me is a lot less important than what you do once you're there.
Mike, I think those were two of the 4 best teams I've seen this year. I don't think both are going to get into the playoff, but I think both should get into the playoff. What do you think?
I think they're both playoff caliber teams, and the best part is because of the way most college football conferences are structured now, we got a good chance to have that be the Pac-12 championship game again.
Well, yep.
Like there's a good chance we get to see them play, and we know in the past, if you're Oregon and you believed, hey, we looked like the better team for the majority of that game and gave up the goods at the end, if you erase that loss, human committee usually could say, well, you lost in the regular season, but you erased that loss in the postseason in the conference championship game. And if that was your only loss, then, hey, we can probably consider you one of the best 4 teams. And based on how things shake out, that would give you a pretty good opportunity. But yeah, Oregon shouldn't have dropped very much off that. They looked incredible in that game. Both teams are exactly who we thought they were in that game. And it's sad we've, beaten this drum plenty, but the fact that this is happening in the Pac-12's final year of existence, where you have these teams performing this well and drawing this much attention. But yeah, I think not only those are two of the best teams in college football, Stugotz, but they're probably the only 2 teams in the Pac-12 with a real shot of making it out. We thought going into this season, USC might be a live dog in that, but that defense has been hanging on for dear life, and it's finally affected the offense enough in the last couple of weeks for a loss. And Utah without Cam Rising's really been just, unfortunately, not enough to complement what's a championship caliber defense in Utah.
We can all agree that he brought the big Penix energy. He brought the big Penix energy.
He was just saying penis, right?
Yeah, he was.
100%.
He changed his name for sure.
That was kind of awkward. I didn't like that.
In front of Lee Corso.
That is the Pat McAfee of full effect right there, folks. That would never have happened 2 years ago.
Gojo, did Penix win the Heisman Trophy over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, put some distance right now. They keep this because the offense isn't going to stop doing that. Like, there's nobody else. I think the Utah game might be a little bit of that, but no, they're going to keep shredding like this in front of everybody else. He's got a lot of positive momentum coming off last year, which tends to matter with this award. You've got your best performance in a big game where everybody was watching. And Stugotz, you guys all know this. So much of the Heisman, as a get ready to put my douche hat on here, as a Heisman voter, can tell you that having plenty of those opportunities down the stretch in big games to have the quote-unquote Heisman moments.
What does a douche hat look like after the break?
Yeah, baby. Cannot help it. Sorry, it's the Stugotz School of Broadcasting in me. But no, he's got plenty of Heisman moments
for it,
coming up that he's going to have opportunities to cement that. So yeah, right now he's the clear front runner. It looks incredible.
All right, more Gojo next. All right, we're back with Gojo. He's going to be doing something with Le Batard and Mike Ryan out in California tomorrow on tomorrow's show. He's with us today. We didn't have to travel to California to get Gojo on the show, thankfully. Thank you for not making us do that, Mike.
We want you to sabotage that tomorrow if you could. Maybe just when they bring you on, don't talk.
Ooh, silent protest. That would make sense because it feels only right that the only time Dan would associate with me is when he's forced to by being in the same city as me. Otherwise, none of this would ever happen.
I noticed that too.
Tell us how you really feel, Gojo.
Tell Dan. Tell me how Dan really feels. That's become abundantly clear.
Totally fair.
Would Dan associate with any of us if we didn't all live in Miami and see him every day?
There's a reason we're here.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
He didn't ask any of us.
He wants to hang out with Danny?
I think he just wants to hang out with Mike.
I went to an Ivy League of the Midwest school. I don't know what more I need to do for him.
Gojo, were you surprised your defense was able to do that to USC's offense?
Do that? Yes. I knew our defense was good.
Right.
They have absolutely been the strength of this team, which is run counter to what everyone expected when Sam Hartman comes over and is being hot all over Notre Dame's campus. But the defense has kept them in all of the games this season and been the strength of this team going back to last year. But my God, Xavier Watts, build him a statue. That kid went off and doing it wearing 0. What a legend. This is the college football world I have always wanted to live in. Xavier Watts for Heisman. Get that kid up for the award. One-man wrecking crew.
Jess, why are you cheering him on?
Xavier Watts had maybe the best defensive performance from any single Notre Dame player in history against Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner, coming into South Bend for a rivalry game, undefeated season on the line. Dude caught 2 interceptions, tackles for loss, defensive stops, scoop and score. It was unbelievable. He was all over the field. And I'm with Mike. Sam Hartman was the flashy name coming into the season, but the defense is so good. They are solid when they have 11 men on the field. And Sam Hartman immortalized himself with Notre Dame fans after the game, doing like the opposite of like the upside down U, but for USC it's like the opposite, the downward fight on thing. I don't know what we're calling it, fight off, something like that. Doing it in front of the fans. It was chef's kiss.
I don't like what's happening
Jess,
here.
fight off is great for that. I've never had a term for it. It's my favorite thing to do because we don't have a horns down in South Bend, but fight off. Doing this is the coolest feeling I had as a player. We beat Southern Cal to go to the title my last year, and walking around the Coliseum and just doing this to random USC fans did not look nearly as good as when Sam Hartman did it. Hubba hubba, that was incredible, but...
Yeah.
Look, I love a good lazy river, but I don't like where this river has taken us right now. I don't know what's
taking us
happening.
to Notre Dame,
you're
right.
USC money line, Tony. We've been over
That's
this.
also
Get out
true.
of the river then.
No,
hey, listen, your mistakes aren't my fault, Tony.
Yes.
it's just gotten to a weird point now where they're just going
This
back
guy's
and
walking
forth on Notre
backwards.
Dame stuff.
This guy's trying to walk backwards up the river.
So what is it? 2 fingers down? Is that what they do? Is that the deal? Right?
When
One
you
finger
beat
for each
them.
loss? I mean,
Fight off.
That's why Notre Dame fans want the 12-team playoff. Because you'll be ranked like 10th, 11th, or 12th, and you'll get in. That's the reason,
Notre Dame will make it every single year.
They're going to make it every single year.
And it won't matter what the record is.
Right.
I hope so. That would be great.
Well, you
Bring
will
the
make
era,
it.
baby.
No. I mean, they'll be incentivized to want you guys
Stugotz,
in.
going back to your original point, that would have been a playoff game last night or Saturday night in South Bend. Like, you're talking about the negative effects of this. I think all those other games still matter because individual rivalries and big games still matter in general. But now you'd have Notre Dame SC with playoff implications for both sides if you're in a 12-team playoff this year. That's the whole point of this.
I guess
think
that's
it
fair.
Definitely expands the amount of games that do matter in terms of playoff expectations. Not that matter to fans, because I think if you're a fan, all of the games matter. Like, winning 10 games versus winning 9 games feels different when you're a college football fan, even if you're not making the playoff either time. My only issue with the 12-game playoff, not that anyone asked, is that I don't like.
I did ask.
I don't like that we
What are your
skipped
issues
from
with it?
4 to 12. Like, we didn't test out like maybe a 6 or an 8
Somewhere in between,
there.
right?
Because it is a lot
Maybe
of
a
games.
7?
Mike, like you played college football. Like, the stretch of games at the end of the season are really hard, like in November, and then you're tacking on potentially like 2 or 3 more games to that than you would already have to play if you're a player, and you have to play in all the rounds of the playoff. It's just a lot to ask college players, who we obviously have talked extensively about the fact that they're not compensated for playing by the universities.
Yeah, that part's going to be really interesting because it used to, like when we played in the BCS, you had 40-something days in between conference championship weekend and the national title. And Alabama and Nick Saban used to be great at getting everybody healthy for that. Now I'll be interested, especially in those early rounds, the caliber of football we're going to see, even from good teams who have been decimated by injury at the end of the season and who are forced to play a lot of those games in rapid succession at a time of year where their bodies just aren't used to it. Like, if you're a veteran college football player, you've never had to play as many games coming up in December or January as you're about to have to try and win it all. So it's going to change so much of the preparation, even for the teams that have been used to playing a lot of postseason football in the sport so far.
Mike, I'm just saying, your point about Notre Dame USC is a good one. That would have been a playoff game for both teams, so I understand that. But Oregon, Washington, they both walk away like, yeah, we both made the playoff. That's it.
Stugotz, they're still both in it right now. Like,
guess.
neither of them is eliminated coming off of this weekend. And that game was still awesome because
Right.
the game itself was still awesome. Like, these games, as long as they're still close and chaotic and have all the stuff around them that we're used to in college football, I really don't think the playoff tie matters as much to the people who are all going to be. Maybe for the casual fan, if you're trying to get more national eyeballs in, the way the sport clearly is angling for with all their changes. But for everybody else, now we were still going to be here beating our chests.
And it's also
Bring that big Penix energy.
It's also very possible. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible if Pac-12 makes the playoff that isn't Oregon or Washington, just based off of the way that these schedules are. Like, both of these teams have really tough games down the stretch. Like, Oregon State is still a one-loss team in the Pac-12 that could upset Oregon's season again this year, which they did last year, and would not surprise me either. Like, the Pac-12 supremacy has not been overstated this season. It's the very, very deep conference.
Gojo, how do you feel about Lucy leaving the Colorado game 29-0 at halftime? She left. She missed the second half.
You know what? It's a tough scene, but at the same time, like, we've all worked in this job long enough, especially at this point in the season, midway through. It's really nice when you can get a head start on beating the stadium traffic or getting out of a scenario like that. Like, I understand the thought process completely.
Right.
It ends up being a bad look. It's very reminiscent of the Miami playoff game for hoops down there that you guys had. But I understand exactly where she was coming from. Beating traffic's a mother.
Yes. Listen, occasionally it's going to bite you, but you know what? Beating traffic's always a good idea. It is. You're right.
Especially in these college football towns, there are always like weird back roads around the stadium. It's impossible to get in or out of these places. They've not worked on the infrastructure like NFL stadiums had. Getting out of a college stadium's hard unless you're the national broadcast crew that's got the getaway car after the game. So I get it, Lucy.
He's gonna bring that big penis energy.
Yeah, you just said penis. Like, I don't think he even tried.
There's an S there.
Let me hear it again.
He's gonna bring that big penis energy.
Yeah, it's penis.
There's a bit of an X at the end. A bit. There's a little touch.
He's gonna bring that big penis energy.
That's a penis.
Yeah. I know penises. I mean, let me hear it again.
Same.
He's gonna bring that big penis energy.
There may not be an X, but there is an XXX.
This guy out of here.
Christ almighty.
Come on.
And the sweater.
Come on.
That big penis energy.
Lazy River Road.
Mike, do you think any of these ACC
That's right.
teams are actually going to finish the season undefeated? Or do you think, like, North Carolina looked really good against Miami, but, like, do they have an L in them? Does Florida State?
I think they're all pretty vulnerable. If you made me bet one, it would probably be Florida State at this point. But man, Tez Walker coming back and looking the way he did kind of changes the math for North Carolina. They didn't really have one dominant receiver on this year's squad. And Drake May, I think the interesting byproduct of this weekend and in general, some of the recent Caleb Williams and USC offensive struggle is going to be what it does to the number one quarterback conversation going into next year. I already thought come draft season, it was going to be more Drake May as a real part of that conversation that it had been led on to so far. Once we started studying these guys with the purpose of figuring out who's going to be the best NFL player. But I think some of this might expedite that conversation. And once we get to mid-November, if they keep this up, I'd imagine a Drake May as the actual number one overall is probably going to become a more prominent take.
Gojo, are you buying Penn State? They have Ohio State this weekend. It's a big game, obviously. It's a playoff game. It's a de facto playoff game. Are you buying Penn State?
Ooh, buy or sell.
Yeah, definitely buying Penn State. I mean, we knew freak athletes all over the defense. The Penn State's problem, and really both of these teams, is less like I think both of these teams could beat the other. We saw Penn State, Ohio State last year was a classic that went into the fourth quarter. JT Tuamalo, their DN for Ohio State, had like a career-defining game against them. For both of these teams, it's, are you built well enough to beat Michigan yet? Because Michigan runs the Big Ten right now. And so I'm buying Penn State to beat Ohio State. They're built to beat them athletically. That was kind of how they structured the team. But I don't know if they've got enough mass to do it against Michigan, and that's the thing I really worry about for both these sides.
Buy or sell. People don't say buy via text enough.
Ooh. I'll say sell. I think the whole point of text conversations is the fact that it never has to have a defined starter end.
I like a TTYL.
You like closure?
I like a TTYL at the end of a
Oh,
conversation.
Really?
Why would you say buy in a text?
No, I'm just like, hey, just TTYL. Talk to you later. All right,
That
see ya.
you can do. That you can do.
That's what I mean.
Buy?
That's just a little see ya.
Goodbye.
You're an AIM child, though, Chris. That's why you're used to a world where we had those sign-offs.
Love and away message.
Does a good
Showering back in 5.
Does a good night count as a buy to you?
A good night? Yeah.
It's closure.
Good night.
Yeah.
Gojo, buy or sell having a conversation with somebody in different forms, talking about different things. So if me and you are talking on text, but I also send you something on Instagram that's totally different, I send you something on Snapchat that's totally different. Buy or sell that.
Oh, big time buyer on that. I do that all the time here because you can be a different person, but you're different content in each of those spots. I'm not sharing the same memes via text that I am going to on Instagram or even on TikTok at this point. So no, big buyer on that one. Each serves its own purpose.
Buy or sell this segment being over?
Buy.
Oh, bye. Are you saying bye to me?
Okay,
bye.
Gojo.
Just pick up a phone.
Wait, but buy or sell this group versus the rest of the group that you're going to talk to tomorrow. Gojo, pick a side.
Big buy on this group. Big buy on this.
Sabotage them.
There's your sell.
Sabotage them.
Just don't speak, Gojo.
Yeah, just be quiet.
Right.
Oh,
Sleeper agent. I can't wait. I'm walking in here in protest.
I want a spy report tomorrow. Can you give us one?
I'm gonna wear a wear a body camera and just take footage of them and sabotage them on my way out.